You're not seeing things. We are, in fact, together and in person today for a very special episode of Geeks on Trial. First, we're talking about our 2023 Spotify Wrapped and the overall Spotify stats. Wow, interesting. Then our case has to do with criticism of a friend's book. Is it okay to be honest with them, or should you hold back your feelings a little bit? Stay tuned for our verdicts. What you are listening to is real. The parties involved are not cool. They are actual geeks with a case pending in the court of public opinion. The party's case has been dismissed, and the dispute will be settled here on our podcast. There will be no lawyers. There will be no witness testimony. The judge's decisions are final.
Hello, I'm Judge Ivan.
I'm Judge Jonathan, and this is Geeks on Trial. Today's case, not on the same page.
Welcome to Geeks on Trial. This is the podcast where we settle petty disputes between actual geeks over movies, video games, board games, and more. If you'd like to submit your own geeky case for a future episode, you can email us at geeksontrial@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support the show, you can head on over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/geeksontrial for just a few bucks a month, and you'll gain early access to both our audio and our video episodes before they are released to the general public.
Wow, our video episodes too.
Our video episodes as well, which we are in. I don't know where to look.
It's a little bit confusing, right?
It's weird. I don't like this. Hi.
For audio listeners, Ivan and I are in the same location for the first time. All of our other episodes have been remote.
Well, for the first time ever, really. I've never seen you in person, I know.
Well, we live very far apart. I'm in Belgium.
Yep, and I'm in Belgium as well.
Yeah, well, but different, like two totally different neighborhoods.
Right, yeah. He lives upstairs, I live downstairs. There's stairs involved.
It's an upstairs-downstairs thing.
Right.
So we've come together for this episode. Why? Why not? Just for fun. This isn't like a very special, we're not going to reveal any secrets or twists or anything, but it's just...
We just, we wanted to be near each other. We wanted to, touch our gavels together, and there you go.
It creates a powerful surge that runs through my veins.
I have diseases now.
So audio listeners might not even notice anything different, other than probably our timing will be a little better because there's no delay.
Right, which will screw that up.
I think that will be good for both of us.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Well, one of the things... All right. All right. So, hey, everybody. We are going to have a normal episode with the case, but we do want to talk about something else. It's kind of the thing that's been sweeping the internet nation.
Oh.
It always does this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
We think of... three things, right? Hanukkah.
Yep.
Boxing Day.
Yep. Fruitcake.
And fruitcake.
Yep.
And then if a fourth thing is on there, it's Spotify 2023 Wrapped. Or whatever year it is.
Now, do you listen to rap on Spotify?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I like Vanilla Ice.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Eminem.
Eminem is good.
What's a third white rapper?
Ed Sheeran.
There you go. Those are the three rappers that we listen to all the time on Spotify.
No, they put out, as they have done, I say every year, but maybe it's been 5 years, 6 years. I don't know how long they've been doing it. But
I don't really pay attention.
It's become, within the last 5 years, I feel like, is when it's just every year around this time, all you see on social media is screenshots of everyone's raps.
Oh, yeah. And different videos and people, arguing that, this isn't my favorite music. I didn't listen to this. And it's like, data doesn't lie. Data knows.
They know.
They know.
Data knows. Lore knows.
Yep.
Jordy knows.
Captain Picard doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't know.
That's funny.
So this is when they tell you, if anyone doesn't know somehow, the Spotify music service will tell you what your most listened to artists and how many hours you listen to each year and all these things.
Spotify's a music service.
Yes, they also have podcasts now. We're on Spotify.
We are. You should do something to give us more likes.
We use Spotify's service to upload our podcast.
It was something else before, and now it's Spotify.
Spotify bought it. It was Anchor.
It was Anchor.fm, now it's Spotify, and yeah.
Now, I thought it would be fun to go over our Spotify Wraps. Of course, I don't use Spotify, and neither do you.
Neither do I. Yeah, we don't. We're weird 30-something-year-olds. We don't. You listen to music old school. You have VHS tape. No, you have cassette tapes that you listen to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have an old photo. Well, no, that's new now.
That's new now.
Vinyl is now hip.
I use. Right now I use Sirius XM because it was free. Because if you know anything about me, I enjoy things that are free, and I don't like paying for things.
Okay.
And I use Pandora. Pandora is my streaming platform of choice. I I really don't know like why. I guess I just chose Pandora at one point, and I have so much like likes and thumbs up. Like it's curated to me at this point that I don't want to start over.
You can't just start over. No, that's too much hassle. I have never been a streaming music person. Sometimes I'll use Spotify like, oh, there's an album I kind of want to listen to, and it's just easy. Like I have a Spotify account. I don't pay for it. But every once in a while it's like, oh, I want to listen to the song. But then I'll usually listen to 3 songs and an ad plays and I go, oh yeah, I don't want to do it.
But you also have an actual MP3 player.
I have an actual MP3 player.
It's a new one. But I like having all of my own music on my person because like sometimes, you drive through the United States and there's some places that don't have cell data. So you can't really, you can't listen to music. Pandora does have an offline mode where it's like, your top thumbs up music will play, but it's like the same 12 songs.
I just have a very old school, out of date mindset, which is I like to have my library and like I know what's in it. This is my music. I like these albums. And even also the other thing about Spotify for me is it's overwhelming.
Right.
There's too much. I don't know what to listen to, and I'm old.
The only reason why I like using Pandora or Spotify is for randomness. Because if I listen to my music all the time, I'll be listening to just my music. And like even on Sirius XM, I'll listen to like Hits 1 just to hear the newish stuff, to hear what the youth is talking about and listening to when I go hang out with them kids.
Well, let's find out what the youth is talking about because Spotify does release results for overall year end for everybody. And I thought maybe we'll go over a couple of those. So most streamed artists, top artists, Taylor Swift her pretty... Now I think you would guess that.
That makes sense because she had the movie out. Was her tour this year?
Well, I mean, also her tour was this year. She keeps putting out the new Taylor's versions of her old albums.
And she's like, at sporting events.
She has, I'll just skip to it too. For the most streamed albums, she has 3 of them in the top 10.
Okay.
So that's, that's a lot. Oh no, is it only 2? Sorry, only 2 in the top 10.
Well, she can get F then.
There's another one in... Oh, no, wait, most streamed... Oh, that's globally. Sorry, she has 3 in the top 10 U.S.
Oh, so I didn't think about that, too. So Spotify is a worldwide program.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you could see what, like, other countries are listening to. Because even if you listen to radio here, it's just our radio. It's not, we don't get global radio unless you're... I guess XM is global?
Might be.
I don't know.
So next up we have Bad Bunny, The Weeknd, Drake, and that's where I know Lana Del Rey, and I know Travis Scott, SZA. I guess I know a little bit of SZA.
I don't know.
This is now just the
I don't know
too
Bad Bunny.
Old fucking.
So.
You never even. I have heard of Bad Bunny.
Isn't Bad Bunny one of the people with the head you can't see like a mask on? Is that what Bad Bunny?
No, you're thinking of Dead Mouse.
There's Marshmallow. Is there somebody?
Yeah, that's somebody. This is the podcast not for the youth.
So let me just tell you, my fiance listens to Mason Monley.
Mason Monley? I am a big Mason Monley fan.
80s, 70s, and 60s music, where I listen to like adult contemporary, like Weird Al.
It sounded like that was 2 separate things. It wasn't, adult contemporary like Weird Al. We all know.
They Might Be Giant, like weird stuff like that. So like I don't listen to
lame shit for losers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I
listen to Lizzo.
Good for you. So I consider I keep up with. I know about movies. I know about video games, obviously, but music is my biggest blind spot in terms of like modern day pop culture. I know anytime I look at the Billboard Top 100, it just means nothing to me.
Which is weird to me because you're very music centric. Like you're like but you know your bands.
Yeah, I've never sought out really modern music. I've always been into just the indie shit, and now since high school and college, honestly, it's just been.
Well, that's usually like when you look at your like with parents and stuff. It's like that's usually when music stops for them.
Yeah,
is when they graduated college or whatever. We used to both have radio shows, and that can tell you something about That.
Yeah, not real ones.
No.
But just us in a room by ourselves.
It was this.
Pirate radio.
Right.
But yeah, I do, and I feel sort of bad about it, but I also don't think I would like most of the people in the top 10 anyway.
What do you think about these tracking lists? Like, do you think they give you an actual spectrum of what people are listening to? Because like it's a very specific group of people listening to Spotify. It's a very specific age range who's like, this isn't getting into anybody probably over 40. Like, you need to have a smart, like, you can only use Spotify on a phone, right? Or can you use it on computers?
Oh, no. Yeah, I
do
listen
full
to it on
website?
PC. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, you have to be like a specific, like, our grandmothers aren't listening to Spotify.
But
like,
I don't know, because I bet we're at a point where you can just tell Alexa, sorry everyone at home, to like, hey, play whatever. Well, that's Amazon Music, and Google would use YouTube Music. But I bet there are I bet you could link your Spotify, and some old people might not even know they're using Spotify, but they're like, play this song for me, and it'll just
That's interesting. I wonder what the number one streaming platform for music is, because like I usually use
gotta be Spotify.
I usually use YouTube for music.
I think YouTube is probably, but YouTube is newer and for their actual music service.
True.
Spotify, I feel like,
I don't use YouTube Music. I just use YouTube to
right.
find music.
I don't know if that counts.
I don't know if those are two
There's no way to find
things.
these stats out. There's not a way
Totally
to look
can't,
this up.
like, if you're watching this, click up there and look at things. Nope.
No,
Don't know.
There's not a way to do it.
Nope. But so do you feel like, do you think the number of Taylor Swift being number one, I mean, you're a Taylor Swift fan, but minus that, do you think that makes sense? That it's number one, that she's number one because of stuff she has released?
I mean, I also, I know that her album sales are consistently like physical album sales are, and I mean, obviously we all know about the fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Debacle that her concert tickets were.
Yep.
And the movie made $1 billion. So it's like, yeah,
she
that's
in general
pretty
is in
obvious.
the eye of the world right now, is being popular.
So you're right. There's definitely, it's not a perfect source of information, but I would bet it's probably a good representation of what
people in general use, because like,
but pop music has always, also like your point about old people, it's always been young people shaping pop music. Yeah, so it's not really a big
now change. I wonder how they did that back in the day for radio, because like radio, you had no way to measure it, but there had Nielsen, that was for TV.
You had a Nielsen box in your
for radio. I don't know.
Radio, I have no idea.
Or I guess that's why call-in shows were such a good thing, because like, call in and request, hey, can you play Taylor Swift again? They
must have had a way to measure it somehow. I don't know what it was, but there had to be a way. Again, you can do your own research, folks. Well, it's not our job to educate you.
No. Now, after seeing this list and stuff, do you have any urge to go and do like a streaming thing, or you like doing your music?
Nah, I've never.
Were you a radio listener? Like a terrestrial?
No, unless I'm in the car. That's the only time I listen to the radio. And now I would prefer to listen to a podcast or my own music.
So we went to the car wash recently, and they take your antenna off your car, like your regular radio AM/FM antenna.
Right.
They never put it back on. I didn't notice for like a while.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm driving somewhere and it's like 10 minutes away or something, like, yeah, sometimes I'll just put on like there's like the classic rock station.
Right.
Or like a pop station.
Right.
That's it.
And just to see what's going on. Like,
just to stuff something.
Maybe some NPR, but like, you're right, because I don't want to start like a podcast when I'm just going to run to the convenience store and pick up whatever.
Right.
But you should be only listening to this podcast wherever you drive on loop.
Now, there are podcasts, as we said, on Spotify too. And number one there is Joe Rogan. We're coming for you, Joe.
We got that.
And we were looking at them, and as you said, and I concur, I have even less familiarity with these podcasts than I do with modern music.
Right.
I don't know
what because I think just as there are so many artists out there, there's so many podcast creators right now. We're in a podcast boom.
The top ones, you'd think you'd have heard of them.
Or it'd be like, what is the NPR one? It's like something lab.
Right, Radio Lab. Wait, don't tell me. Yeah. Does that count as a podcast?
Yeah, they podcast. But I don't know what they count. Like, is it just Spotify podcasts? But I feel like
Freakonomics.
Yeah. Who's the comedian that has or Conan's not even on there?
They might not be on Spotify.
That's what I was going to ask.
NPR is probably not on Spotify. I don't think everybody is.
Right.
But
Marin?
I think everybody is now.
right? Isn't that a podcast?
Yeah,
Yeah.
WTF, yeah.
Right.
So we have, like, the other ones, I truly, like, there's a TED Talks one. There's the top 5 here after Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Call Her Daddy.
All right, if I have to.
Huberman Lab. Anything Goes. And On Purpose. I really don't know what these are.
That sounds familiar, but like...
Oh, Smartless is on here. I only know that because of the movie that came out. That's the one with Will Arnett.
And then it makes me think...
Not Will Arnett, sorry. Jason Bateman.
Are the podcasts that we listen to, like, not at all popular?
Right, right.
But even though, the podcasts I listen to, like, occasionally the film cast. I listen to Doughboys.
Now, this might be Call Her Daddy is according to the description, the most listened to podcast by women on Spotify. So maybe these are just all outside our demographic. Maybe it's all the ladies listening to the Spotify podcast.
And Joe Rogan?
And Joe Rogan. Well, the ladies love him.
Ladies love Joe
Also,
Rogan.
Jordan Peterson was somewhere in there too, so...
So it's weird. I don't know. Maybe I might go through and listen to some of these podcasts and be like, what are they?
Yeah, maybe we'll learn something.
We will learn. So we might have. Maybe we'll start talking about what does Joe Rogan talk about? Like just different things to eat you're not supposed to eat.
I don't think that politics is it good? Is it bad? I don't know.
See, usually at this point, since we're in 2 different locations, I can just mute him when he starts doing things. It sounds great.
What do you think about politics?
I don't. All I can do is that.
Well, he does what is he, like an MMA fighting guy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he's bald.
Yeah.
So you got...
Yeah. MMA, I think, is mostly about politics for me.
Okay.
And is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. Let the people decide.
Mm-hmm. I'm not basing this on nothing.
Yeah.
Except that I know he sounds kind of like Kermit the Frog.
Does he? I couldn't even tell you that.
Yeah.
I only know the only
Joe
thing I know
Rogan here.
about Joe Rogan is he did the MMA sports and he took over for the Man Show.
We don't need to talk about Joe Rogan anymore. He's number 1. He doesn't need our help.
But that's why we need to talk about him.
Oh, you're right.
We get them hashtags in there.
You're right. All right. So I don't know. Everybody out there, maybe you'll share with us your Spotify's and let us know if they reflect the popular results,
right,
or if you're some kind of a freak who doesn't align with it at all.
Just like we are.
Today's case comes to us from the internet. You can find a link in our description down below. Our defendant today is Harry. Harry is a scholar of literature, and so when a friend of a friend asks Harry to give some feedback on their upcoming novel that they are currently working on, Harry agrees. We'll call this friend Ron.
Okay.
Reading the novel, Harry deems it to be less than stellar, with weak themes and some unfortunate stereotypes. Relaying this information honestly, Ron takes the feedback the wrong way and says he's giving up on the novel altogether. Now Harry's friends think that he should have just said the book was good and been done with it instead of causing Ron to be upset. As dual judges here on Geeks on Trial, it's now our job to determine whether honesty really is the best policy, or if Harry shouldn't have come off so scary.
You know, I think it's better in person.
No,
There's not the delay. I like that. It's good.
Mm-hmm. I just want to say, you don't have to believe me on this.
Okay.
Wasn't until I was actively reading that out loud that I realized their names were Harry and Ron, like Harry Potter. That was not my intention.
Oh, that wasn't your intention? No. Because that works.
I had a different.
This is for books.
Can I tell you?
Go ahead, tell me.
So sometimes when I come up with the fake names,
These aren't
to protect the innocent.
Oh, okay. He didn't.
I will make them have some kind of stupid reference that is usually like so dumb that no one would ever even try to get it because it doesn't matter.
I get them.
And I went, I looked, Harold, I can't even remember his name anymore, but Harold something is a famous book critic.
Okay.
And I went, who wrote a bad book? And I went to L. Ron Hubbard. And that's where I got Harry and Ron.
But they're two from a book that you...
I also am not sure of the actual gender of the defendant. It wasn't clear. I just made them a guy.
Oh, well, that's offensive to somebody, I'm sure. We'll just say they.
It was actually and they do mention specifically their boyfriend. It's their boyfriend's friend.
So those two are men.
Yes.
Okay.
Ron is a man and the boyfriend is a man. Harry, I'm just going to make them a gay couple. Why not?
All right, why not?
We need more representation, don't you think?
I don't think we need any more.
I think you do.
I think we have too many gay people. There's a joke I can make. It's fine. So
You should clarify. Nah, it's fine. People won't read it the wrong way.
It's fine.
Who could possibly take that out of context? All right, so we're talking about this case.
I'm gay.
Honest feedback. This is a tricky thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple. Now, there's a specific relationship or not relationship that we can get into in this case, but there's also just the broad strokes of someone coming to you.
I thought we said it was men.
I'm sorry, broad or fella strokes. Someone coming to you with a creative work and saying, will you look at this and tell me what you think? Has that happened to you?
People have come to me and like, I need notes on this. Watch this movie. I'm a video editor, filmmaker, whatever. So people were like, come watch my movie. Come, tell me what you thought about this. Or they'll send me like a comic book to read or something. And there'll be times when I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, this is shit. But you have to figure out, like, are you friends with this person? So, like, if you sent me something, I've known you for about 70 to 80 years. So I can tell you, I could be like, this isn't great.
Yeah.
Or, like, you know me enough where I could, like, my sugarcoating at this point. Where I could be like, oh, yeah, this, the colors were good. And you're like, got it. Done.
Well, there's ways to do it, right? There's, because usually you want to give honest feedback.
Right.
It's not helpful to just say, yeah, it's no notes, good job.
Well, that's why, like, I would say you go to a good friend.
Right. You want to go to someone that you know. Well, so in this case, Ron and Harry aren't really friends, but Harry is studying literature in school. That's what their degree is. So I guess that's the in, is like, oh, you'll be able to give me good advice or something.
Which, right off the bat, like, I was a film student. Like, I went to film school.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to a film student or a literary student
Right.
who is freshly in school
Right.
for this because they think at this point in their life, looking back at it, that they know everything. Oh, I just learned about this. I know what I'm talking about. This is what I think. Because when you're in school and you're making student films, student books, whatever, you think you're like, this is the best literature you've ever... And then you look back at it 10 years later and you go, this was shit.
Well, what you might want to do, though, I can understand the impulse, and I'm guessing what a writer might say is like, get as many people to read it as you can.
Right.
Because you just want more feedback.
Well, just what is great about this time in our lives is the internet.
Right.
You post that on Reddit and they'll just tear it
They'll
apart.
tell you how fucking bad you are.
They'll make you
million
feel
ways.
awful.
Yeah, they will not hold back at all. But there is a way to, you want to present a positive reaction and constructive criticism.
Right.
You say like, oh well, I thought that this could have been done like this. This hasn't happened to me too often.
Oh, because you're so good.
I mean, anyone coming to me. We'll get to that part later. There is one time, weirdly in recent memory, maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago. It might have been during pandemic times, quarantine times. Someone I just kind of knew online. I never met him in real life. Had like a couple chapters of a novel.
Right.
And they were just like sending it to, I think they just said, if anyone wants to read this and give me feedback, let me know. And I was like, okay, I don't know. I'm bored. I've been in my house for 4 months.
And you know them, but you don't know them. Like, it's like,
yeah, there's no stakes.
Right.
Because it's not like I can consult them. I don't care. And I'm trying to remember. I should find it and see exactly what I said to them. But because I was like, oh, this is like, it's interesting. It's okay, but it wasn't terrible and it wasn't mind-blowingly great either.
Right.
But I found a way to come up with, you want to have specific points. I think it's obvious if you're just like, oh, good job, the writing was good. You say
and
stuff
you also
like,
don't want to be like overly like, oh, it just sucked. Well, why did it suck? Why did So
I think things like, in the case of a book or a piece of writing, something like, I like this character, maybe we could learn more about them.
Right.
Or I didn't quite, like, this part wasn't clear to me. I wonder if and I probably couched it in all kinds of like, maybe it's just me. Maybe if I read it again, I'd get it.
Right. Oh, it was raining today. My glasses were dirty. Like stupid stuff like that.
Are those related?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because you go outside and your glasses are dirty.
Yeah, the rainwater makes
so
them all
usually
dirty.
what I'll do, like if I get something and it's like totally garbage, and you don't want to be like, oh, this is, you go and like nitpick a specific area is what I do. It'll be like, in page 12, this sentence could be different, and maybe hope that they pick up on that and try to fix it elsewhere in the writing or the movie or whatever. Make it something where you see the same mistakes over and over again. They start fixing it and they go, oh, this is something that needs to be done.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, now let's swap it. How often have you asked someone else for advice on something you're working on?
You're kind of forced to do that when you go to film school.
I mean, I guess in a sense, you're like professors are.
Well, not even that. Like a lot of times, you'll have to make a thing, and you have to do like a swap with somebody else. Yeah, peer review, peer edits.
Is that what it's peer review? Is that what it is?
I think that's what we called it for like in high school writing, but like something like that. So you give it to somebody else, they pick it apart. You do the same with either theirs, or usually it's you get somebody else's, they don't get yours, but somebody else. So you do like a blind swap. So you're not like just bashing. Oh, you thought my film sucked, well your film sucks worse.
You can't tell. Whose it is?
It depends. Like if it's a script or something, you can't really.
Oh, if it's a script, yeah. I was thinking. I'm like
a movie because it's usually the same act. Like,
right? Yeah, like you're probably in it.
Right. I'm very like I've been putting my work out online for years, so it's like I kind of get a thick skin with that because YouTube comments are so great, and they will pick it apart. But it's like I'll send people things. Like I've sent you a few things now and then to watch, or like I'll send. I don't. It's funny. I'd rather send it to friends than family. Because friends, like it depends on the friend. They'll actually tell you how it's going. Where family will be like, "Oh, it was great. That was a great video."
Oh yeah. Family will not.
No.
I mean, significant other maybe.
I live with the best critic for that. My partner Danny will tell me, he'll be like, "You need to like fix your audio.
It's shit."
Like one of these episodes he was watching, because he actually watches these episodes, which I'm, hi, how are you? He was like, "Your eyebrows looked weird. You should fix your eyebrows." I'm like, "Thanks." Motherfucker.
Yeah, so that's always good. That's good to have someone you can trust them and they're not worried about hurting your feelings.
Now, will it start a fight? Oh yeah, there's fights. There'll be fights.
Too.
But I want to go to him because like he watches certain things that like he'll pick out things that I won't. So I'm very artsy. I'll like make sure the color looks right, but he'll look at the thing and be like, the story didn't line up, or like, that cup was in one scene and it wasn't in the other scene. Like he'll notice like weird things like that because he's more like, he's IT. So he picks up on like, mechanical stuff and like technical stuff like that. What about you? Do you like, do you send people things, or do you like, do you not like to? Because like I don't like to, just to give you that. Because I like to think, oh, it's amazing, I made it. But the best thing I was told when I was in high school, I used to work in a TV station, and they said, you need to get a second pair of eyes or a third because you get married to this. Mm-hmm. Like even if somebody just comes in and says, you need to cut 12 seconds off of this, you might think, oh, those 12 seconds are amazing. You can't. Then you cut them, you watch it again, you're like, yeah, they're all right.
Yeah, so I don't really. It's interesting when you brought up YouTube comments. In a way, that is sort of that's like a different thing where it's not showing someone something before you release it, but in a way, like all of our podcasts and things we've put on the internet over the years, that feedback is sort of accumulated and added up a little bit in my mind. So that's sort of the one way I do it. When I'm just if I'm making a YouTube video or like writing a newsletter, I'm not really showing that to anybody because that's just kind of I'm like, this is my thing. I know exactly what I want it to be.
Right.
I don't care what anyone else says about it. If I were going to do something like if I was actually like, say, writing a book, the only time I can really think of specifically, like one time I made a text adventure game.
Oh, yeah.
But I had people play that more to find bugs and technical errors than to really give like creative feedback.
Which I guess like same with like with me with videos and stuff too. It's like, oh, can you watch this to make sure like it looks good?
Yeah, I mean that's a part of it. And then the other thing was years ago, I was trying to design a board game with some people.
Yeah.
And we had a ton of people play test that board game.
Yep.
Which is basically that's a creative and you want feedback. But for some reason that feels there's something less personal about this rule or in a video game like there's a bug here than writing a novel and someone being like, yeah, your writing's bad.
I definitely because you guys came to me to play the video game. I tested it, and I even think the video game as well, the text adventure game.
Played that, yeah.
But I feel like a video game and a board game versus a movie, a book, is different because a video game and a board game, you can go different routes. So like a video game, maybe not text adventure, but like a regular video game, it's like, oh, you as the player kind of messed up, or you as the player can take a different route that somebody else would play. And the same as a board game, there's like 12 different ways.
There's many variables.
Where a book is very linear.
Right.
A movie, a TV show, a podcast is very linear. So it's like, let me tell you, the worst thing I've ever done was I made a show ever done in my life. Yeah. So I showed a bunch of people a movie. I watched them watching it. That is never being the same.
A movie you made?
A movie I made.
Oh, yeah.
So you're watching them, you're like, why aren't they fucking laughing? Why do his eyes look in the right? They should be looking in the left.
I think that's what that's what a lot of filmmakers will do is they'll sit in a screening room, especially for a comedy. I mean, it's what stand-ups do every night when they test their material. Yeah, they're like, oh, that didn't get a laugh. But that's also a much more, you don't need as much nuance. Like if you're doing stand-up, it's like, well, they either laughed or they didn't laugh.
Oh, were they drunk tonight? Were they not drunk tonight? It's like, this is a New York crowd. I'm a California guy. Like
it can still hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
But it's not as complicated as, again, a book.
But that's the other thing, too, that you brought up, hurting your feelings. When you are a content creator of any kind, filmmaker, book writer, photographer, whatever, you have to grow. Like, I've been doing this since I was, like, 10. So it's like over the years, you kind of have to have a thick skin with this. And because somebody's not going to like your work. Somebody's going to love your work. Somebody's going to be like, it was okay. Because there's so many things that people don't like. There's so many different genres of everything that okay, so Harry, what was the main person? I usually write this down on this computer.
Harry's the defendant today.
So whoever wrote it,
Ron wrote it.
So Ron, his book might be good for people who like comedy, where other people might like drama only. So it's like you have to go after the people. Like if you are writing a comedy, go after people who like comedies.
Right. You might or that's also a way to get out of if you think something's really bad. You might just go, this is just not my genre.
100%.
Now, should we talk about Ron's book?
Yes. Let's talk about this book as you grab for the book.
So this is Harry's description.
It seemed interesting to me, all of this, and you'll see why, folks at home, because it could be a little much at times. And if this was a movie, this would be great. This would be all over the place. But here we go.
The quote from the case file is, bad things happen to this kid for no reason. Mm-hmm. And then his dad's also a wizard or something, but magic doesn't really come into play. There's also a bit where the kid gets adopted by an Asian couple and is forced to fight in some type of kid fighting ring while leaning into all kinds of racist Asian stereotypes, as you can imagine, like abusing kids and speaking broken English.
Now, let me just say something. This is a literary student who wanted to review a book. They couldn't even write this sentence properly. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm sorry.
Well, sometimes when you're on the Reddit, your
but like if you're going
standards are different.
If you're a literary, like if this is what you want for your career to be, you'd be a little too much.
Fair enough. Like fair criticism.
Like I said, when I was in film school, I was doing somebody needs me to film their kid singing "Happy Birthday." Can we get the low angle here? And you show
maybe off. They were worried that the person would find this, so they disguised their writing style. No, everything's fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Everything's okay in here.
Did you write? This is you, isn't it?
I did. This is
your
me.
book, and
the details of the book are pretty specific, so this person would definitely find it out. So that this to me is a potential. This is an important detail. Is the fact that there were racist stereotypes in the book.
Right.
And how much of that contributes to that's sort of a separate thing from bad writing.
Yeah.
Like that is something you could make an argument for. You should just be nice to the person. But can you make an argument for just tell them the stereotypes are fine? And presumably the whole friend group, other friends have read this before.
Right.
And I guess they've all been like, it's great. This is the
yeah.
first...
And like, is it like, so this is the writing of the person. Is it, do we know the race?
We don't know the races
like
of the people involved.
If somebody was reading this,
I hope they didn't give it to an Asian person.
Because that would be awful.
It's just like you. You'll relate to this a lot.
Right. You're a wizard too, right? So it just seems like just from the article or the case, it seems like it's all over the place. It seems like it's like somebody drank or smoked something and just started writing. Like, why is there a random wizard in it? Like, why? Like,
I want to read this.
Well, that's the thing. Like, is it because this is?
But we can't pass judgment on it. We don't know.
Yeah.
If it's truly good or bad. From this description, it doesn't sound great.
Am I having a stroke?
You are.
Okay.
It'll be fine. You'll work through
right.
it. But we can't give a first-hand impression.
Right, because we don't know what this book is. You know, this could just be a naysaying article.
Maybe it's good. Maybe it kicks ass.
Right. You know, they might just not
fun.
like racist wizards. We don't know.
Maybe it's like a grindhouse thing, or it's like it's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek.
Right.
I don't know.
Don't know.
I mean, racist wizards, Harry Potter was huge. So
right.
I know, why shouldn't this be successful?
But, you know, how do you judge on this? Like, you know, are we saying that they are a bad person for giving them a bad review?
Well, let's first in general, I don't know that we've really come to a firm conclusion, either of us, about how, generally speaking, what do you think the strategy should be? And again, this is for not a close friend.
Right. This is just somebody who's...
It's a friend of a friend, so they don't really know each other.
Right.
Like what is the appropriate amount of honesty to give them? How much do you sugarcoat it?
See, at that point, if you are a literary student, they came to you knowing what you went to school for. I would, if I was in their shoes, I would do grammar. I would attack the
You
grammar.
would do grammar?
I would do grammar. Not well.
Kelsey?
Kelsey Grammer. How you doing?
Who's the other one? There's another grammar. Isn't there a singer or there's another
You're thinking
grammar.
Of the Grammys.
That's
what you're thinking of. The Grammy Awards.
Oh, you know what? I'm thinking of my grandma.
Grandma. I call her Grammar.
Hey, grammar.
Hey, Grammar. Come on over here.
Give me some of them cookers.
So I would go and just be like, oh, you need to write this better, or this be written better, or maybe not go after this.
Good. Do writing good.
Maybe take out the wizard. I would go vague.
Well, you could. I think that's a good kind of shield to hide behind, is to say, look, I am as you came to me as literary person,
right?
And as literary person, here are my literary. Here's what a book publisher or editor might tell you about this.
Right. That might be a T-shirt they own too.
As a literary person.
No, just literary person.
Literary person.
Mm-hmm. So it says on our ID.
It might be.
Yep.
So we don't now. According to Harry, he or they said that they don't think they were too mean. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and assume they didn't just outright say, yeah, this is shit.
Right.
But that they weren't. They were honest, that they were straightforward.
That they didn't just light the book on fire in front of them. And,
right there, but they were. But
That's
they
a
didn't.
PDF. How did you do that?
They told them this is not great. This could be improved. And here's maybe a little bit of my ideas on how. And it greatly upsets poor Ron. I mean, he just said, "I'm done." And yes, that is a little bit. That reaction is too much. Your first criticism, you say, "I'm done forever."
That's it. I'm throwing my book out. That's it. Because if you can't have a thick enough skin to take criticism, then you can't be a creator.
Yeah.
You need to know that what you're writing, pen to paper, brain to pen, isn't going to be the best first draft. I'm assuming this is first draft.
Who knows?
You need to improve. Everybody needs to improve on everything in their lives, and you need people to tell you that.
Yeah.
So they asked for an uncensored criticism of their book. So you're going to get you're going to get the pure criticism. And like, you have to be okay with that. So you can be mad, but not mad to where you're going to be like, I'm not talking to you again. I'm not writing again.
It shows a real lack of confidence in your work too.
Right.
If it only takes one person to tear it down and you're just like, oh, I guess they must be right. Then like, did you even like it?
Right.
Maybe you think it sucks.
Or you know what? You didn't like their opinion. Give it to someone else.
Yeah, keep doing it until you get the one you want, and then you stop.
There's websites and even like specific subreddits where it's like, submit your book and we'll give you feedback.
Get a TaskRabbit to do it.
There you go.
I wonder how that would go.
Why not? Go on Craigslist. That's still a thing, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Craig's still got a list.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you verdicts?
Yeah, I guess we get into the verdicts.
So I'll let you go first.
All right. So the question is whether
weird I can touch you.
or not. Yeah, it is very weird. Whether or not, especially since that restraining order.
I know.
We are violent.
It's not okay.
We have them against each other.
And we're way too close to a school.
That's for sure. I consider the world kind of to be my classroom because I learn something new everywhere I go.
Boy.
Mm-hmm. So we are judging Harry as to whether or not they were too harsh on this. I think we both agreed that in general we want to err on the side of being more honest than not. You shouldn't just sugarcoat it. You shouldn't lie to them and say it's good if it's not. Right. You do want to be kind of nice. We don't have Harry's actual words to have here to know exactly what they said. But then there's maybe some wiggle room on that. For me, it's the fact that there's the racist stereotypes in it.
Right.
And maybe they're not, like we haven't read it. Yeah, maybe they're, I don't know. I don't know. But taking this at face value and saying there's unfortunate stereotypes. Right. Like if it were just bad writing, then maybe I would say, okay, maybe you don't really know this person, just kind of be nice to them.
Right.
But this sounds like the kind of thing you should tell them. This goes against like my code of ethics, for instance.
Right.
So Ron, I'm not siding with, but Harry, I think it sounds like didn't do anything wrong unless we were to find, unearth new evidence that they actually, just cursed him out. But it doesn't sound like that to me. So I've got to declare them not guilty.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, so it was brought to them to critique it.
Yeah.
They were asked to pick it apart.
Yeah.
They're not guilty. It's plain and simple to me. Like fine. And like you were saying, unless they were like a complete asshole and was like, oh, you should go kill yourself. This book is terrible. Never write again. Like, there's ways around it. And you're right. Be like, hey, maybe the racism, not the coolest thing in the world. I don't think you should do it. Or,
it's not in the top 5 coolest things.
Wizards aren't my thing. I don't like wizards. So maybe you should bring this to somebody else who might like this. There's ways to step around the bush and you'd be like, I don't think this is great, and walk on eggshells a little bit. But they did come to you and ask you to maybe not tear it apart, but what do you think? And the second you say what do you think to someone, that kind of signs a contract of be like, you're gonna get what I think.
Yeah.
And if you know this person, I guess they're not friends, but they're in the same friends group. They roughly know each other. You should kind of know this person enough to be like, here, read my book. So, it's...
So not guilty?
Not guilty.
Yeah, I would... Thank you. I think the fact, too, if it were someone closer to Ron, there's almost more of a... I might be more sympathetic and say they maybe should have been nicer. But again, this is a third-party, unknown, kind of known person. But now I guess you could argue, from the boyfriend's perspective, maybe they're just like, oh, I just now things are awkward between them, maybe.
But
that
also,
is an angle.
If it's a new relation, I would never if me and my partner were within the first year of dating, I didn't ask you for critique.
Oh, I'm sorry. Damn it. You're right. No, you're right. This one's on me.
So if I've only known the person, I would never go to my partner early on in the relationship because that would be like, oh, you don't like my work. I don't want to be with you anymore. Or that's a good test.
Maybe, yeah.
They're like, are they going to be truthful to me?
You give them a copy of just an excerpt from Twilight.
Right.
And you're like,
what do you think?
You like this?
And they say, I hated it. You go, let's get married.
All right, so we need to sentence out punishment for Ron in this case.
So I think my punishment for Ron would have to be 1,000 paper cuts
Where?
all over his fingers. So when they write, it'll be difficult.
Oh my God.
Just all in here, in the crotch of your fingers, and the tips of the fingers. Just 1,000 paper cuts. Okay, maybe you just have to rewrite the book.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yours. We sometimes we do a jigsaw kind of thing.
Right. Depends on my mood that day.
Maybe that's the new gimmick. Is they all have to, or whoever gets punished always has a jigsaw case. Where they have to a jigsaw trap,
A jigsaw puzzle.
and it's like you must drain your own blood in order to as the ink to write this novel, and if you cannot finish it before you pass out, your head will get cut off.
We have warped personalities.
Yeah.
Or, maybe, with the stereotypes in it, maybe you just have to take it to
He's got to take a sensitivity training.
or have somebody of, the Asian
Persuasion?
to read it.
Sure. I do think it makes sense that if he just he's got to take a writing class, and he's got to, every day, I think or every school day, he's got to take like a semester-long course, and he's got to read a draft out loud in front of a crowd.
It's true.
That might be too bad.
Do we know what their major is if they are
Never mentioned, no.
Maybe, take some writing classes.
Yeah,
Why not?
if that's what you want to do, then why aren't you doing that?
Right, but you have to take them in person. None of this online Zoom classes. You got to take
That's
an online
bullshit.
class. You have to try to get into Harvard.
A good movie I want to recommend that came out this year is called, what is it called?
That's a terrible movie title. Have you guys seen the movie? What is it called? I don't know. What is it called? Who's on first? I don't know.
A movie came out this year with Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in it. And
Oh. I don't know what it's called.
Christ, I saw it.
It came out recently.
Nah, like in March or May, somewhere in sometime. But it's about a
phone.
couple. Let me just get through this. It's about a couple who, it's this story. She writes a book, and she's upset when she learns that maybe her partner doesn't like her book.
Okay.
So it's all about this.
Seinfeld?
It's a good movie.
This is
That's what it
Seinfeld.
was.
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld. It was a Seinfeld episode. It was Jerry and Elaine. And he was like, Elaine, your book isn't good. And George was like, George is getting frustrated reading this prose.
What did Kramer do?
That's it. And then he had some racist stereotypes as well.
That was one of the Larry David left seasons. That was when he was
That's
gone.
right. You can really tell the difference. It was not the same. What is that? I want to say No Hard Feelings, but that's a different movie. It is not this movie, but it's something like that. It's got like a phrase. Why don't you tell them where they can let us know their verdicts if they want?
That's not what I do.
But you see, this will give me a chance to.
So if you want to tell us your verdicts or send us any information at all, or send us a case that you would like us to do on the show, you can email us at geeksontrial@gmail.com. There's also a handy dandy forum in the bottom of this description wherever you're watching or listening to this, or wherever you want to get it. And how can they? You have to do my part.
Yeah, we're in person now. We switched things up. If you'd like, it'd be really fun if you joined our Patreon, patreon.com/geeksontrial. It's a great place to go. You can get our episodes a day early, so you're ahead of the other kids. You'll be much cooler than them. And pretty soon, we're going to be launching a new video series where we talk about other stuff. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. It's just a few bucks a month, and it's well worth it. And I looked up the name of the movie. And I understand why I was thinking No Hard Feelings. It's called You Hurt My Feelings.
That's not a good title for a movie.
Well, I guess if I couldn't remember it, then maybe you're right.
If I'm being, if I'm criticizing a movie here.
No, they didn't invite your criticism.
Oh.
We do invite your criticism, but
Yes.
But be nice. Please be nice. I'm very sensitive.
It's true.
If you want to find more of my stuff on the internet, you can. You can follow me at my website, jonathanestes.com. You'll find links to my other podcast, the Yerky Boys, where we read Animorphs, and my YouTube videos and all kinds of other stuff. Check it out.
And if you want to see me critique snack foods, you can do that over at youtube.com/thesnackguy. And I have some Christmas-themed stuff coming up there pretty soon. And also ivanhan.com.
And Hanukkah stuff, too?
No.
You better eat a goddamn latke.
That's not a snack?
You can snack on a latke.
What's a Jewish Hanukkah snack?
Gelt?
There we go. We'll do gelts.
All right. So you heard it. You better not go back on that. You anti-Semite. Okay. So, hey, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed seeing us together because don't get used to it.
Well, unless you go to the Patreon.
I'm going back upstairs and he's going back downstairs.
Yep. This isn't even our apartment.
We'll see you all next week. Hope you're having a good holiday season. I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Ivan Hahn, and this Geeks on Trial.